All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's call of the Crypto Mondays Collective. We've got a great featured guest today. My friend Asaf Nadler is co-founder and CEO of Addressable. I think one of the most innovative companies in Web3 marketing today. Super excited to have him back. He's spoken at the collective before, but it was a while ago, and obviously much has changed. But just a few minutes before I turn it over to Asaf. Um, uh, we are well. First, next week it will be at Paris Blockchain Week and Paris Crypto Monday Paris on Monday. So we've got a good crowd coming to that. Um, and then Paris Blockchain Week, and that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday is Agent X, which is an AI agent conference that's put on by Michael Lamar, Chain of Events, the same company put it on Paris Blockchain Week. So it's going to be a great week there. Things are moving forward with the community building AI agent. You were actually focused at the moment on you're rolling it out in the next few weeks. Uh, they're really targeting Crypto Monday Dubai on April 28th. So Asaf, if you're there, we're going to have be doing a fireside chat with Ilya, the founder of Near, and
Yeah,
we hope at that point to have that be the first time, people come to Crypto Mondays to learn, earn, and connect. And so we're going to start with connect, and people sign up with their LinkedIn. We'll be able to give them the opportunity to opt in. Hey, do you want to meet somebody, get connected to who our AI thinks is the best person for you to meet at the Crypto Mondays? And we'll see, how many people, sign up for that. But, people come to Crypto Mondays to learn, earn, and connect. And I think now with the AI agent, we can, dramatically ramp up that experience. So excited for that. Um, and Interestingly, we're still are the AI Web3 accelerator. We're now moving into kind of one-off. And we're talking to a super interesting company actually out of Paris about the kind of being the first kind of bespoke member of our AI Web3 accelerators. That'd be exciting. So lots of great stuff going on. And But the main reason for the call today is we've got a great featured speaker, as I said. This idea of how we really engage with users and how everybody in Web3 can engage with users, is still kind of this open question. And there's been tons of experimenting going on, and I think people, among the people really leading that charge has been addressable. So I'm super happy to have Asaf back and hear on what's the latest and greatest.
thank you so much, Lou, for having me again. And It's great to have all of you here, and it's a fairly intimate forum, so I think it will be awesome on the Q&A section. I'll try not to speak for too long to kind of leave time for questions, and I'll start with a personal story. So I'm one of the co-founders of Addressable, which is known as a Web3 marketing company, and I'm very, very active on Twitter, so it's very easily mistaken that I've been in marketing for very, very long. But the truth is, I didn't. I started my path of career as an engineer. I served for 10 years at 8200 military intelligence in a variety of tech roles. And then I was the director of data science for Akamai Technologies for 7 years. And I ran into blockchain when I was doing my master's and PhD on blockchain and data analytics. And I was so in love with blockchain, really wanted to
And
build a
where did
company.
you do that?
Which part, the PhD?
Where, yeah, what institution?
Ben Gurion
University?
University.
Ah,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
And I really wanted to start a company around blockchain that uses data to help the industry grow. And we ended up building Addressable, which connects wallet owner data from a blockchain with who people are on social and on websites, so companies can better understand target audiences and grow. And ever since that's been a success, we've been running ad campaigns with some of the biggest advertisers in the space, ranging from Coinbase to Sui to Chainlink, and to a lot of these, and Polygon, And one of the things that as an engineer transitioning to kind of a marketing space really kind of baffled me is nobody speaking about numbers in this space, about results. Like a lot of people are speaking about numbers when it's token prices and it's where the industry is going financially. But as people are speaking about the marketing side and getting crypto to the masses, and we're running KOLs and we're running PR and we're running all sorts of activities, what's the cost of that and what does it actually drive? I haven't seen on Twitter not a single tweet that says, I've ran PR and I got 200 users and the cost of a single user was $5. I'm not seeing it. And this drove me crazy. So we started measuring a bit of that in Addressable, like the classical metric of cost of acquisition and cost per click. But what we realized is these metrics weren't very native for Web3. And to kind of pinpoint that using an example, if we market a token that is being listed on a centralized exchange. So we're running an ad campaign on Twitter, for instance. Somebody clicks that, goes to the website, and then one day decides to go on Binance on the centralized exchange and buy that. What exactly is the conversion event or the acquisition event? This is very, very confusing in Web3, a lot because the paths are not really direct. And this kind of threw me on a journey to try and find growth metrics that are native to Web3 and would be easily understood by a variety of projects, would be simple to calculate, so people in the industry can speak more with numbers about what campaigns can you run, what can you actually achieve. And this led me, and I'll share my screen now, to one of these metrics that I'm naming cost per wallet. Let me share that over here. Are you able to see my Twitter page?
Yep.
Great. So what is cost per wallet? So cost per wallet, and I published that over 2 articles. It's a metric for crypto growth that has a better fit for Web3 marketing. And what it's measuring, let me see if I can get that a bit bigger. What it's measuring is what does it cost to get a user on your website that is a crypto user? What does it mean for somebody to be a crypto user? The best proxy that I found for that was the user that has a wallet installed on their browser. So if you have on your browser a MetaMask or a Phantom or an OKX wallet, and that's installed on your browser, you're now visiting a website, what does that mean about you? Well, the first thing it means you're not a bot, because bots are not using browsers and they're not installing anything on their browsers for sure. And the second thing is you're definitely not a normie, because somebody that doesn't have a wallet installed on their browser, regardless of how much money they have inside of it, is definitely somebody that doesn't understand crypto. It's not a user that can connect their wallet to anything or spend it online. And the interesting thing is I started tracking wallets, browsers that have wallets within that. And the very interesting indication, which is what's listed here, is that browsers that have wallets installed, based on our data of tracking a variety of advertisers, gets users 7 times more likely to convert. So if a user steps on a crypto website and they have a wallet installed in their browser, which means they're a native crypto users, they're 7 times more likely to convert. So in that sense, having a wallet installed on your browser makes you a high intent user. And what I tried measuring is for any crypto website, what does it cost to drive these high intent users? Does it cost $1? Does it cost $5? What does it mean if it costs $100? And this is the metric that I coined, cost per wallet. What's the cost of driving a wallet-ready user that is not a bot, not a boomer, not a normie, to your website. And I'm pausing over here in case anybody has questions.
Yeah, we generally, I don't have questions. We generally kind of let the
Run
folks,
until
yeah,
run until
speak
the end.
and then ask the Q&A at the end.
Perfect.
Yeah, if you
Perfect.
could drop this tweet, that'd be awesome in the chat.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me see. Here's the chat. So that's the first tweet. That was the definition. What I really hope that would do is that it would kick off a discussion in which marketers in this space or founders in this space can start saying, I ran a campaign for a CTF to draw developers to my chain, and it cost me $1.48 to drive a developer to my website. Or a DEX that's running a marketing campaign would be able to say, it took me $3.07 to drive a trader to my website. So suddenly we'd be able to compare, is KOLs better than PR? Is campaigns in Southeast Asia better than the US? But it will at least enable some smarter discussion, which I think is really necessary for the industry to grow. And I published that on February 12th, which is exactly 1 month and a half ago. And I'm not that big on Twitter, but it got almost 60 bookmarks, 100 likes, 30 reposts, 21 comments, and 30,000 views, which for me, it was my all-time high viral tweet. And it definitely seemed to have touched a point in which I felt a lot of other founders and marketers felt, why really is nobody talking about numbers in this space? It might be because the numbers are not that good in Web3, because ad tech is not that mature. The products are not very mature, but still, we need to talk about numbers because that's the only way we'd be able to see what's not working and grow from there, right? So this tweet became fairly a hit, which led me to do a follow-up. And the follow-up was one in which, for me, if people understood cost per wallet, the definition, and they felt like it's a definition that makes sense, what I tried doing is looking at the data of Addressable from 2024 at more than 100 advertisers that were active with us. Some of them are top blockchain, top DEXs, DeFi protocols, games, gambling, what else? Wallets. And some of them are also startups that are launching for the first time. If I would just analyze their campaigns and the cost per wallet for all of these across market cycle, what does cost per wallet look like when it's a bull market? What does it look like when it's a bear market? What does it look like for campaigns in Southeast Asia versus East Europe versus the US? What does it look like when you're targeting traders versus you're targeting developers? So at least we'll
About day
have
versus night.
day versus night. Exactly. I felt this would be really useful for a lot of marketers that are asking, what's even possible? And this is exactly what I did. So this led to the second article, which was even a bigger hit with 174 likes and almost 30 reposts. This, for me, is very, very unusual. And this is the result that I wanted to share with you. So as mentioned, more than 70 advertisers targeting almost 10 million users worldwide. And I'm breaking it down by market cycles, regions, campaign execution, audience segments. So a bit of background, when I'm looking at 2024, I'm breaking it into 4 quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, in which Q1 and Q4 were natural bull markets. Q1 was an increase of 21% quarter over quarter. Q4 was a 109% increase. Both of them very, very clear bull markets. Q4 was the best ever in crypto, in my opinion. And Q2 and Q3 were bear markets. Q2 was a 12% decrease, and Q3 was the bottom of the bottom. It was a minus 27% decrease. And that shows how much crypto is a roller coaster. But for me, it actually gave a good view because I could look at costs. What did they look like when it's really dipping? versus when the market is really kind of active. So the first analysis that I made was looking at different places across the globe and asking, let's start with the bull market. What do the numbers look like in Q1 versus in Q4 all across the globe? And here are a bit of the conclusions of what I was able to see. During bull markets, all of the markets are
Are you
very,
trying to
very
show us the results? Because yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm only trying to find also my way to kind of read into the text. So what was very evident to see is when the market is very good, even the most premium market, typically US and Western Europe, was very much affordable. I mean, you could get a wallet in the US for less than $6, right? And it might sound high if you were like a Web2 marketer, but in crypto, I mean, these numbers are remarkable. So it was very clear that when the markets are good, they're good everywhere. But in Q3, which was the deepest part of the bear market, the cost surged 4x times in premium markets. What that kind of resulted in is a situation in which, if you're looking at the difference of bear versus bull, you would see that during the bull markets, all markets are very, very efficient, but in bear markets, they diverge very, very much significantly. So in that sense, markets like Southeast Asia are pretty much stable all year. You can market there when it's bear market, when it's bull market, you'll always get roughly the same prices. But if you're targeting premium markets, going there in a bear market, it's much more dangerous. So unless you have a very validated product market fit, and these are kind of the takeaways, unless you have a very validated product market fit, going into premium markets when the market is down is very, very dangerous. And weirdly, I thought that would be somewhat
By dangerous, you mean very, very stupid.
very expensive. Yeah, very expensive. And surprisingly, I'm seeing so many marketers that are launching a product for the first time and are saying, I want to use Addressable to target whales or liquidity providers in the US, not necessarily realizing the cost of what they're asking when it's not a validated product market fit. So with that, this kind of concludes of what bear markets versus bull markets look like. The premium markets in the emerging markets, they diverge very, very much when it's a bear market, and they converge very well when it's a bull market. This is something to kind of take into account, depending on whether kind of the business is very established and understanding of the cost and what you're trying to achieve. So this was somewhat of the first conclusion. The second conclusion is I was analyzing the top versus average versus bottom campaigns. So top is the top 25% of campaigns. Average is the median, and the least are the bottom 25% of campaigns. And what does cost per wallet look for them? So the best, which is the line at the bottom, what you can see over there is that for the best campaigns, and think about it, we ran campaigns with Coinbase, with Sui, Chainlink, a lot of kind of very, very well-known names. The numbers for them are pretty much the same all year. So this is a very interesting conclusion that bear markets apply typically to projects that are less established. I mean, if your project does have a business, you actually sell something that is usable, like a centralized exchange, like a wallet, like an Oracle, something that people actually need and use all year. They're not that much affected by the bear market. Now, sure, if you look at the Coinbase reports, like in Q3, their revenue was $500 million, and in Q4 it was $1.5 billion. Obviously, it does affect. But on the cost of acquisition and attraction of users are interested all year, which this is very, very interesting. And conversely, if you're looking at the bottom 25 campaigns, which is this, what you're seeing is at the height of the bear market in Q3, the numbers spiked up dramatically. So what that goes to say for me is that the bear market is not kind of the time in which no crypto is making it. It's just a matter of finding product market fit. So in that sense, if you're a product that has good product market fit, you're pretty much resistant to the bear. So what I showed you earlier about geos is actually more nuanced. If your project is very successful, you can run premium market all year because people find demand for that, and it's not that fluctuating like what it looks like from the overall picture. And conversely, if you're a product that is just launching, you're still searching for PMFs, you're still in discovery, maybe it's smarter to go into more of emerging markets and more low and slow until you're able to do discovery. Or conversely, if it's a bull market, just go all in. So this is the second thing that is kind of very visible from the data. Moving forward to somewhat of the last insight. I was also looking on audience segment. This is where the data is becoming a bit more challenging because it's not always that, like if you're thinking about DeFi protocol, it's very evident that, yeah, DeFi are looking for traders, right? But if you're looking at more nuanced projects, for instance, blockchains, what are blockchains acquiring? They're acquiring traders that would buy the token. They're acquiring developers that would build on top of the chain. And they're sometimes also acquiring users. Like if you're a blockchain of games, you might also appeal to gamers, right? So that was the more difficult analysis. So that's the one that I'm putting somewhat of an asterisk on. But I tried looking at what's the cost of driving traders versus developers versus gamers or gamblers. What the results show is that for an average campaign of traders or builders, the average result will be $2.50 roughly. What was very interesting to see is that for gaming and gambling, the average was almost 4 times higher. This is very interesting, kind of leading me to ask the question, like, is Web3 gaming truly inevitable? What it showed to me is that there's a lot of hype around Web3 gaming, but it looks like we're just not at the same stage as we are on building an infra and on trading, which obviously we're very early there as well. But if you're kind of looking at that from a historic standpoint and a product market fit, gaming is lagging more behind. I mean, the thesis for Web3 gaming, it's still not at the same place as it is with finance and infrastructure. The numbers are still higher over there. And this is something that Web3 gaming builders and gambling protocols builders should be aware of. It's harder and more expensive to attract people to Web3 gaming than it is if you build a dApp for DeFi, where there's more demand, there's more awareness, there's more understanding of the value that's behind that. And with that being said, that is kind of summarizing my recent work on cost per wallet. I am planning a future work on what I call quality of wallets, which is a work that would look more on what can you tell based on wallets that step on your website. I mean, based on their age and what they're doing and their social, what can you really expect with regards to results? So this is data that I started looking at, but haven't yet published. And this is where I am trying to drive more metrics, more data-driven discussion, and a smarter discussion about growth in this space, which I personally believe is really the key for helping the industry go to a better place. And thank you so much for listening, and I'm really happy to address any kind of questions or thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for that insightful presentation, Asaf. My name is Albert. I'm the CEO and founder of Bitcoin AI Startup Lab. And
Yeah. Hey, Albert.
I was wondering how to. Yeah, hi.
Thanks.
Hey,
I'd lost my connectivity for a moment, but
yeah,
go on.
Wonderful. And I was wondering how to use address, like how do you bridge the gap between having like a wallet address and being able to connect with them or reach out to them? Or is your tool mainly to like the analytics on each wallet?
So what our tool does is we built a database that connects wallets with cookie identifiers and with social handles, which enables for two things. One is providing companies with a report about their users, what they're doing on-chain and off-chain. For instance, where are they coming from in the world? I mean, who are they following on social media? What are they talking about on social media? What are they owning on-chain? And because we have the Web2 identifiers as well, the social handles and the cookies, we can run paid ads to them, both on Twitter and on Reddit, where a lot of the crypto users spend their time, and both on top crypto websites like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, DexTools, Etherscan, and more of that, targeting users using cookies. So this is how we do that in Addressable. Putting that in kind of in contrast to cost per wallet. Cost per wallet is not a commercial thing. It's not tied directly to Addressable. Addressable is measuring and optimizing for cost per wallet. But this is the metric that I'm encouraging every marketing product or marketing service to measure, whether they're running KOL campaigns, which is probably the most popular in this space, or PR campaigns, or affiliates, or point systems.
Thank you. How do the paid ads work? Like let's say we have some wallets and the other Twitter accounts. How does that, can you go double click into that? You said it's Twitter and Reddit, right?
Twitter, Reddit, and display ads on a variety of websites, yes. And the way it works on our system is that you would create let me show an image of what it looks like. I don't want to be shilling, but sometimes an image is kind of very is a
Yeah,
good
this is
explanation.
much easier.
Yeah. So what you see over here is our audience builder, in which I described an audience on chain that I want to target. For instance, these are USDT owners on Ethereum and Arbitrum with at least $1,000 in their wallets. So what that translates to is 740,000 wallets, and we can tie it to 140,000 social matches that we can target. You can see here the blockchains that it's coming from, the filters, and if I go ahead and save this audience, we always start by providing a report that tells you where this audience is coming from. For instance, it's mainly based in the US. Germany is the second biggest. You can explore that by country if you want to know where to target these users, which languages to use. Which channels are these users mainly converting in based on our network? Google is huge. Twitter is huge as well. Some referral programs are very successful as well, as you can see. And some additional knowledge about the wallet ages, the platform from where these users are coming, other tokens that these users are holding, what are they following on social media, what are they talking about on social media. So this is the report. And to move forward from that to running an ad campaign is just another click. And if, for instance, you'd be looking to running campaigns on Twitter, you'll fill in a form with the audience, with the campaign target that you want to optimize. For instance, you want to optimize for engagements, get more likes and follows on Twitter. The funding, the schedule, and once you're running the campaign, what it looks like on our end is you get a report that is tracking results over time. So this is kind of the full funnel of you build an audience, typically translating the thoughts of what they're doing on chain. We translate that to cookie social identifiers. We give you a report about the audience. You click on launch campaign, ads shown on Twitter or top crypto websites based on what you choose. Then you're getting the results that is showing you, for instance, in this case, we track a variety of metrics, but what cost per engagement looks like over time, we're also able to optimize that.
Albert,
Yeah, thank you.
to your
Thank
question.
you. Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, okay, I get it. I get it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. If anybody else has questions, raise your hand. What I'm most interested, you did all this work on the cost per wallet. Can you talk about how that impacted the work that you do for your clients?
I think that the first thing that it impacted is we're mainly selling to marketers. So when they need us, they typically come with the need of we need users. Um, and what we're seeing with a lot of Web3 projects is that the marketers are very enthusiastic about getting users. They're very overwhelmed by tasks. They're doing PR and community management and listings and PR and socials and ads as well. But the ones signing the check at the end of the day are typically still the founders. So what we've seen is marketers typically go to the founders and say, we ran into the system that can run ads. We want to try it. We think that can get users. And the founder is typically asking the founder question, what is it going to cost? What are we expected to get? What's the ROI, right? And that was a tough question. And somewhat in an unfair way, founders aren't asking that about KOL. It's just the native, like this is how you do crypto, which is weird. So I think the
Yeah,
first
I wouldn't think successful CEOs don't ask, right? I mean, how are you going to be successful unless you know that you're making money off a campaign?
Oh, I have so much criticism about that, about founders in Web3 don't have it, not having a board that is kind of asking them for the reports, for the cost of acquisition, for what's working. This has a lot of room for improvement for sure. But what it, at least cost per wallet did is it equipped us with something that we can give marketers to make a fair argument for how much we want to run ads, what do we think we can make of it. Maybe we should compare it to other channels that the founder is in love with. But it enables a smarter discussion. We felt that it's making this change within the industry.
As you've seen it, deployed across different industry, sectors of crypto, are there some you think that, it's providing, particularly good insight for?
It's a very good question. One thing that I really love about the crypto industry, and this is from somebody coming from cybersecurity of 17 years. In cybersecurity, we would never kind of talk to competitors about what they're building, what they're doing. And in Web3, there's still somewhat of this feeling of a pioneering space in which everybody talks to everybody. It's still the feeling of the cake is too small to fight for.
Yeah,
So
totally agree with that. Right. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
let's make a cake. Right now, we're just fighting over crumbs.
exactly. So it was very important for me that cost per wallet wouldn't be an addressable thing. That would be something that I'm trying to give to the community. So we're working more smartly. And what was very nice for me to see is I was able to speak to other builders that are working on Web3 marketing platform, whether it's Quest or whether it's ads or whether it's KOLs, chatting to them. Do you think that's helpful for you? And a lot of them thought it is. And I'm really encouraging them to work with me on future work and make that not an addressable thing, but actually a metric that we can embrace for the industry to work smarter. And I'm seeing some of them already looking into how to embed that in their products or agencies embed that in their services.
And since you're helping projects use different types of media to reach the audience, now that you're looking, what have you found, that have you been surprised by which media get better cost per wallet than others?
I think that the biggest myth that we were breaking is ads don't work in Web3. That's a very, very powerful myth. Like ads don't work in Web3. Like for me, this is never a binary question. It's always a question of numbers. Some channels would work for some projects, some geos would work for some projects. Let's make that a smarter discussion. I think with cost per wallet in the air, at least we know what ads are able to make at the moment. And they're getting better and better all the time with smart targeting, with attribution, with all of that. I still don't know what KOLs are able to drive, what PR is able to drive, but I have the sense that we're going to see much more of that. But that's the insight. I think ads are working in Web3. I think based on the
Yeah.
numbers.
Well, look, I mean, I agree with everything you said, but right, this is why Google has grown at 10x, 100x the
Correct.
rate of KOLs, right? Because people want to pay for what they can track and perform, right? That's how you are able to scale. Um, uh,
Lou, you just rugged for
yep.
a second. You're back.
Ah, yeah. The downside of Porto turns out their their internet connection could be better, but it's spectacularly beautiful here. I'm actually staying at a place, Village Boa. I don't know if you've heard of it. I think it's owned by an Israeli, coincidentally. Uh, so yeah, actually, let me just quickly. I know this wasn't what we talked about, but just to go, you want to talk just a little bit about where you think the Israeli ecosystem is today?
Oh wow.
Sorry,
For me,
before
when
can I jump in and ask one more question about
Sure, go
addressable?
on.
Yeah.
Yes.
of course.
Yeah, sorry, sorry. Like, all right. What's the coverage like for like Bitcoin wallets right now? On addressable.
In addressable we don't cover Bitcoin, unfortunately. We did get this request from several companies, but we're currently our data is focused on EVM wallets. So I wish I was able to tell you something smarter
Okay.
about Bitcoin wallets.
Well, when are you planning on doing that? I'm guessing it's like on your roadmap sometime. Hmm.
We're hoping. I think the key thing that would lead to it is how much retail would be at Bitcoin for businesses. How many businesses would do retail work in Bitcoin to kind of make that a worthwhile effort compared to other commitments we have on the road. I'm hoping it's this year, but can't commit to that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be more like next year, but this year will be pretty critical depending on how the policies in the US shape, the macro environment is
Yeah.
like a huge, and then there's a couple of breakthrough technologies right now in Bitcoin that are like, they close the loop, but the first principles, like it's still very expensive to do some of these things. So but once those costs come down with the macro environment, I think it's gonna go gangbusters and it will,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I see Charles has some questions on the
Oh
chat.
yeah,
So Charles,
Charles. Yep.
I see
Go.
I see you here.
Yeah.
I can read this. Oh yeah.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't seem to be able to raise my hand. Thank you, Lou. Great, fascinating, Asaf, what you're doing. Absolutely, great stuff. What kind of marketers come to you? And related to that is, can you say who some of the best marketers are? And thirdly, do clients come directly to you as well?
Yeah, yes, great questions. So the marketers that are coming to us are typically B2C companies that are interested in attracting wallet owners that live on the blockchain. Some notable examples are top exchanges, wallets, games, DeFi protocols. And what's very unique to all of these is if you ask the marketers there, who's your target audience? They typically imagine them in on-chain terms. It's the people that have this amount of tokens on-chain or that trade in this DeFi protocol or on-ramp their money to an exchange or play this specific Web3 game. They're struggling because of anonymity in the space. You're asking them, oh, great, you know who's your audience. How are you getting to them? They just don't know. They don't even know where the audience is coming from. If it's Latin America, if it's Africa, if it's US, they have no idea. And it's a huge pain as a marketer to not have this data. And these are typically the marketers that we're able to help to the most. On who's the best marketer, that's a fantastic question. For me, coming from engineering, PhD work, and being a person of numbers, when I'm looking at marketing, I see a numbers game. But I think for a lot of marketers, it's a creative art. So it's a very tough competition. On the numbers, it's a very business driven question. It's if you look at the top exchanges, they're ruling the space. They're very much dominating it. I think on wallets, I think Phantom is doing an amazing work. on how they're
Sorry, who is?
rising. Phantom,
Who?
the wallet.
Oh, Theta?
Phantom,
Oh, Phantom,
Phantom wallet.
the
Yes.
Solana wallet.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's one of my favorite projects. And about whether clients are coming directly to us, yes, a lot of them are reaching out to our website, asking to book up time with us. I feel at this point in this space we're a bit better known than we were like 1 year ago. We're also attending the conferences. We have a BD team that is chatting to different projects about marketing and growth. They can reach out to us anywhere. I mean, whether on Twitter or on the website or LinkedIn. We always like chatting to marketers, and not just if they're working with a product. I'm always so curious about what marketers are doing in the space, what's working for them, well beyond ads. I'm super curious about that.
What about geographically? Like where do you see, Asia versus Europe versus US?
So the interesting part about blockchain companies is there's always a huge difference between where they are registered, where the people are at, and where the marketers are at. What we're seeing is they typically are registered all over the world. The companies are always fully remote. The heads of marketing are typically almost always US based or Europe based. So even if the company is kind of worldwide, has business in Asia as well, scattered all across, the founders might be in Dubai, CMO or the heads of marketing typically based in the US and Europe.
Interesting. But what I mean, from a wallet perspective, like I'm just like where the wallet.
Oh, yeah. So from a wallet perspective, I think it very much depends on what's the goal of a project. If they're looking to play a numbers game and get lots of people on the project, pay as minimal as possible to get initial traction, Southeast Asia is probably the best choice. Some still choose Latin America or Africa. If they're looking for liquidity, they're looking for whales, they're looking for more activity that would move the needle, they're looking to increase TVL, definitely Europe and Western Europe and US.
Oh, interesting. And what about Dubai, UAE?
That's very interesting. It looks at the moment like, at least from an advertising perspective, this is mainly kind of a founders nation. We've talked to a lot of founders that are moving there. I mean, for tax purposes, I guess. But not a lot of people targeting there directly unless they're a B2B business, and then they're looking for other founders or other places to kind of do business with.
So as you're seeing all of this data, what's like that you've seen like the biggest misperception in the marketplace versus what you're seeing?
That's a great question. That's a great question. The biggest misperception. I'm not sure if it comes top of mind about what's the common misperception. Not sure. Nothing
Nothing's popping out.
jumps over. Yeah.
Well, how about this? This is like a or I don't know if it's a misperception, but I'm curious about the answer you just gave, Lou. Like, you said like there's the most whales in Western Europe and in the United States. Do you have an idea of what the comparison is? Like, what percentage is in Western Europe and what percentage in the US? Is it like the same or?
That is a very good question. If you've noticed that cost per wallet is a lot about engagement, right? It's a lot about the people that step on your website, and somehow it kind of evades talking about who buys. Why aren't you talking to me about who buys? I think, and that's maybe a hot take, but I think that at the moment, 80% of projects in this space, it's not an accurate number, are not really selling something. A lot of the projects in this space are still looking for attention and engagement, but are not really driving conversion. There might be an ability to convert on their website, like you can connect the wallet and buy, or there might be some tokens that you can buy on an exchange. but there are not many real conversion events. And this is, I guess, it's part of the maturity of the space. And it also depends not necessarily on the channels of marketing. It depends more on the product and the offering. Like I mean, on the marketing, you can bring someone to the website. You can help them understand better, but you can't really make them buy. That's the product. So if anything, that's the hot take. There's not a lot of conversions in this space, and they're definitely not a very good rate. So if you have a very strong product market fit, like exchanges do or the top wallets do, they're getting fair rates. It's still higher than what it is in Web 2, a lot because it's difficult to find niche audiences. But for a lot of the other projects, a lot of them don't convert. There's still a way to go there on finding product market fit and finding offerings that are really solving real world problems. And I really hope that this is something that will improve over the next few years.
You know, the Kathy Wood, a little while ago now, had some research reports saying that she thought that the average wallet was worth $20,000.
I don't know. I don't know about
Yeah, exactly. I
that.
mean, that's a big number, but I mean, I think that's like a lifetime value, right? So if you're able to get somebody, right, that you as a wallet provider, you can, you know, and even if it's half that or a quarter that, right, that's, you know, a lot of money that you know, can be, you know, is, you know, when this starts to hit prime time, that could be coming in to use your services.
Yeah, my intuition is saying otherwise, but I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure. Yeah.
Well, is there, I mean, who now do you think is kind of doing the best job of making money leveraging your services?
Most probably the exchanges, conferences, wallets. It's the businesses that have an evergreen business that, regardless of the state of the market, people still truly need their services.
Interesting. Conferences. That makes sense, right? They
Yeah.
want to reach.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're working with some of the conferences that you may know for helping them sell out tickets. That's a very prominent use case that's easily measurable. You can easily tell if the
Yeah,
ROAS
no,
makes
no,
sense.
exactly. That's a win for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool. Well, look, this is, yeah, as always, this has been terrific. Any last words you want to leave us with?
I want to thank you all for listening. And know that this work of cost per wallet is something that I'm looking to spread, but also looking to get intake. So if you have any kind of further thoughts about that, you have ideas for collaboration, you want to share it with your network, I'm always happy to hear. And to learn more about it, you can follow me on Twitter and read the articles. And I'm always happy to engage. I always answer DMs or emails. So thank you so much.
Okay, terrific. And actually, one question I forgot to ask that I'm obviously always asking is how are you leveraging, you guys leveraging AI today?
Oh, in many ways. So
Yeah.
one of the ways is on audience creation. We're always recommending other audiences that you should probably work with. On campaign optimization, we're very quickly learning what segments of the audience are working, which countries are seeing good results in, which types of audiences you're seeing good results in for optimizing the campaigns based on that. And another thing that we're doing is we came to realize that we're engineers and data and numbers feel naturally to us. It's not always the case with marketers. So we're using AI to take the numbers and output a summary about what's working, what's not working, very clear text, so that if the founder is catching the marketer down the hole and said, what's happening with the campaign, like one click, you can tell them like, oh, the Ukraine campaign is down performing. We'll need to check on that. But the one that's running in Korea is actually a huge hit. We increased there by 10%. They can get everything instantly from them.
That's super interesting, right? To be able to do that. Wow. And it's like day one.
Lou,
Absolutely.
before you sign off, can you put your email in the chat? Is that okay?
Of course. I'm putting everything. everything: LinkedIn, Twitter, email.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you
terrific.
all.
Asaf, thanks for the time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you
so much for sharing insights.
Bye-bye.
Great to see everybody.
Okay, yeah.